What's going on, everyone? Today on Inside Pogo, I have a true legend, Dan Mahoney. A bunch of links to Dan's videos are in the description below. In this conversation, we dive into landing the first front flips, the built-up rivalry we had, Flybar versus Vertigo, who's better? Don't answer that in the comments. Some of the biggest tricks landed, all the trolling that went into naming new tricks back in the early 2000s, and so much more. Also dropping with this video is an interview Dan did with AllPogo, allpogo.com. Go check out that article. And lastly, before we get into the interview, I've tried upping the production quality of these. I've added a new look, and I try to add some complimentary footage to the conversation. If you guys are enjoying these, of course, please let me know down below. And now, just sit back and enjoy this wonderful conversation I had with Mr. Goat, Mahoney. Awesome. How you doing, buddy?
Doing all right, man. I'm kicking around. I'm just like busy with school these days for the most part.
So, what are you going to school for? This is very fascinating.
Oh yeah, jumping right into it. Well, I'm doing I'm taking plant science technologies right now at Dalhousie University. So it's mostly it's like a whole plant science kind of a focus. It's like botany, morphology, and horticulture and stuff like that. But mostly like what I'm focused on is like agricultural sciences. So like growing food production and stuff like that.
Is the goal just to have your own farm one day?
Yeah, I mean, like kind of like it's kind of like personally self-serving. Like I've been like studying plants and stuff in my free time probably since I was in my early 20s. And then when the whole COVID-19 thing broke down, I just figured rather than spend my time inside doing nothing, like feeling like I wasn't accomplishing anything, I just decided last minute that I'd register for the course, and I love it so far. And I feel like regardless of what I end up doing with it, the information's pretty useful to me and pretty interesting.
You won't ever go hungry.
Yeah, that's right. That's that's part of the goal, at least.
Did you just go back to Nova Scotia just for school?
No, actually, like I moved back to Nova Scotia from Australia in 2019. It all blends together. But I was up in Halifax, just kind of living and working. I was doing some Pogo stuff here and there as well, kind of like part-time working with T and part-time Pogoing here and there. And then same sort of a deal, the whole COVID-19 thing broke out, and I just decided to actually go back to my hometown to be closer to my family, just because I didn't know what was going to end up happening. Didn't know if things were going to get completely shut down. Like maybe we wouldn't even be allowed to travel between city to city and stuff. So I just decided that I would come home. And coincidentally, it all just like kind of fell into place.
How has it been being home?
Actually not so bad. Like I find there's like this weird experience people get when they're like, when you grow up, you just want to like get as far away from where you're from as possible. And I did that. I definitely did that for quite a while.
I think Australia is pretty far away from Nova Scotia.
almost as far away as I possibly could get, really. Coming back was fine. Like, I kind of like didn't always have like the greatest experience growing up here, but like having come back after, kind of rewriting my own whole story and stuff, it's been fine. And honestly, it's been beautiful to be close to my parents and my siblings and like my nieces and stuff. So yeah,
that's good. Especially look at that nice little teacup.
I'm not sure where I found this one. I think it might be one of my grandparents, or it might have just been found on the side of the road in a trash heap. I'm not sure.
So do you have a bigger teacup collection or Pogo collection at this point?
That's a good question, man. Honestly, Compared to most people, I think that this is like one of the things that's kind of like odd about me with pogo sticking is I've never been one to really like modify or suit up my pogo sticks or anything like that. And I always ride pretty close to stock pogo sticks. And I pretty much would just, like jump on it till it's completely trashed.
Opposite of me.
Yeah, I just like jump on it till it's trash, and then I'm like, well, I can't ride this anymore, or and then I just ask for a new one or whatever.
Yeah, I was trying to think just the other day, like when was the last time I jumped on a stock stick?
Well, I mean, like I guess I wouldn't call it stock because I do ride like like the V5, the V5 thing.
It's a stock V5 setup.
Yeah, no, I don't like drill extra holes. I don't like do like little holy roller bushing tricks or anything like that.
Imagine if you did.
Oh man. It's funny though, because like I don't like jumping high anymore. It's not very fun. It just hurts. So
I stopped liking jumping high after Pogopalooza 4.
Well, was it not very far behind you?
That was yeah, and then you just start jumping way higher, and I'm like, all right.
It hurt. You pay for it.
No, I guess Pogopalooza 6. We had that little showdown for high jump at Pogopalooza 6. And then from there, it was just downhill for me.
High jump's like the highest I ever want to go. I don't even think I want to compete in high jump anymore. Like, it doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah, it's for how simple it is. It's so brutal to compare to everything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the stakes are pretty high. Like if you kind of mess up and you come down from that high, like that's no good because you have to get that high in the first place. You have to be jumping on concrete.
Yeah,
so
we're almost to the point where we need an actual like high jump setup from like pole vaulters.
Yeah, for like legit, honestly.
Because I mean, they're jumping. How high do they jump? Like 16, 17 feet?
I think that like up there for sure.
We're not too far behind. We're 11.
Are we at like 12 feet or something yet?
Get in there. I'm sure Dimitri or Biff will get over 12 randomly.
Yeah, no, I've always kind of been more interested in like I think just like consequently I fell into being all right at high jump because like I started just trying a different technique than what most people were doing at the time. And my dad built me a high jump bar setup at home for doing like because like when I was younger, one of the things that kind of pushed me was I started doing like little busking shows out here in Nova Scotia. And like at the very beginning, like I didn't really have like a whole show built or anything. So one of the things I did was that I just like did a high jump thing. And so my dad built me a high jump bar setup and so I used that you've actually seen it actually.
Yeah, at Halifax Busker Festivals. You were there for I don't know what that was. Yeah.
It was 2008, I think. Dang. But yeah, no, like, so just because of that, like, I was like probably one of the few people who actually like jumped high jump sometimes at home. Like, there wasn't really that many people doing it at all.
Still, no one ever really practices high jump.
No, they just like show up at Pogopalooza and try and break the world record.
Yeah, it's like no one puts effort in. Like, oh, I'll train it one day out of the whole year, and I'm ready for Pogopalooza. Like, if people actually trained high jump like consistently,
yeah, I always wonder about that.
It'd be insane.
Yeah, would be reaching new heights for sure.
I don't know if you heard. I was talking with Biff about this idea of instead of jumping over the high jump bar, putting a high jump bar on two like RC cars and then having someone just drive it underneath you.
Oh, so that way you don't have to
jump forward at all.
Yeah, you don't have to do the forward momentum bit.
Right?
Yeah.
We could easily get like 12 or 13 feet.
Or you could just get clotheslined. Like
or that.
Completely destroyed.
One or the other. I don't know if it'd probably be worse than jumping just over.
Like sabotage the next jumper by just drilling down the...
Because I guess that would be worse because at least when you have forward momentum, you can kind of run out of it or like land on the mat and roll out of it. If that hits your tip and you're jumping straight up, you're just gonna tip over.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I think that's like one of the reasons that my body's gotten the most messed up is just from those like straight up and down jumps, just coming right down. Like, how are you supposed to? How are you supposed to absorb that kind of an impact?
Suck it up. That's about as best we have.
That's what we got knees for, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Used to have knees for.
Still holding out for those bionic knees,
Eventually, right?
bionic ankles.
We're right on the cusp. Eventually, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing skateboarders, BMXers, everyone with wheels they have on us is they have all that momentum. So they do these big gaps. They mess up, but they
just
roll out of it.
Like,
And that gets rid of a lot of that force. Whereas we're just straight down.
Yeah, not so blessed.
All cartilage.
All pretty hardcore anyway, but still. Yeah.
Definitely. So I don't know if you saw the video I just put out, the history of the backflip.
Yeah.
So I was working on that, and Earl sent over your AllPogo interview, and one of the questions was about the front flip. I'm like, oh, this is like a whole nother story. Yeah. I thought it'd be really fun to dive into that a little bit.
Well, actually, it's funny. It was funny to watch that video too, because that the first backflip was actually before my time, or like it was happening like right as I showed up. Like, it's kind of like foggy and up in the air for me when I actually started jumping on a pogo. Like, I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. It was like my sister's birthday, and I jumped on it for like a year or two in my own time by myself in the backyard. But I never filmed anything, and I never took any pictures. And then like I broke it, and then it like set aside until my brother found a video online of Chewy doing a backflip on the flybar. But it wasn't the same clip. It wasn't the same clip as I saw in that video.
So I actually briefly talked to Chewy about this too. There's one other clip of him doing it like off a sidewalk into grass.
Yeah, it's like really like kind of like low lighting.
Very low light. I remember like the one that I got, that picture sequence was sent to me as the first backflip, but apparently Chewy said he's actually did it before that, and then went into the gym and landed it.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's been I think that was the picture sequence was the first video out there of it. And the other video didn't get uploaded till after, I think is what happened. So, because I remember getting those pictures in my email, just going like, just screaming, like, no!
I can imagine, man.
It's just, it's scarred. It's scarred on me.
The parallel to that story, I kind of like, I feel for you, honestly. Well, I mean, because like, I know, like, I actually like remember the conversation. Like, you were one of those people that I was talking to. It was on AOL Messenger way back in the day.
Good old.
Which I downloaded as a Canadian only so that I could talk to my American friends, because we didn't use that, where at least in my circles growing up. Like, I just downloaded all kinds of stuff just so that I could keep up with the Pogo community. And I remember like when I first tried, like that was my whole style, was I would just go out and try a bunch of weird things, and then I just come back and like just live on the computer, like sending the videos to all my Pogo friends and across the world. And I remember uploading that video, and you and I were having a conversation, and you're like, "No, man, I'm gonna go land it." And I was like, "No, this can't happen." I was like freaking out about that.
Yeah, so yeah, very similar happened to the front flip. So after the backflip landed, everyone's like, let's do a front flip. And I was thinking, it's like, it's not possible. Like, I never understood like how you could keep your feet on holding over the pogo. Like in my head, it was just like, physics don't work like that.
I feel like I remember it was a video. It was after Sweetness of Amazingness. And you were trying, it was the only clip I'd ever seen of anyone else trying a front flip. And you were trying to do it into your mattresses in the backyard.
I have a few. So I actually
landed it first. You did land tip first, I think.
Yeah, no, there's a couple videos that haven't made it out to the public where I get like one bounce. And then at the time, no one was close. So I was like, oh, I'll just do it the next day. Or I'll just do it the next day. And it was like one of those grindy tricks. Like I tried like 10, 15 times, get one bounce.
Should have jumped on that, Fred.
And then didn't continue. There's one that I completely would have landed, but I had like 2 mattresses. One here, one was sitting on top of it. So I came down onto that second mat, started to bounce, that mat slipped out. So then I slipped out with it.
Uh-oh.
But it's like, oh, I would have landed that one, like without
Yeah.
a doubt. And then no one was close. I was like, I'll just do it in my own time.
Well, I like legitimately like when after we had that conversation, like I had already kind of like I think that like I like lived in my own little world when I was young. I was a little bit like I was kind of odd, if I'm being honest. Like maybe on the spectrum, I don't know.
I know we all pogo stick,
But
so
just definitely like obsessive, like so obsessive, and like I was playing out all these scenarios in my mind where I was like, this is the thing that I have to do. Like this is this is the thing that I'm supposed to do. It's like I gotta go out and land this trick. And I just remember it was also I'm not sure like how like I was talking I think to Brian Pognon. He told me that he had tried a front flip too or something after I sent that video or something. Maybe someone else as well. And like it all like kind of was just like, you've got no choice, Dan. You have to go out tomorrow, and tomorrow is gonna be the day that you land the front flip. And so I actually was out there for like 6 or so hours, I believe.
You came out of nowhere. It was just like, oh, this kid from Canada.
Yeah.
Like a couple tricks, and then it's like, wait, what? He landed the front flip?
You just gotta keeping you on your toes, Fred.
Oh yeah. Definitely was not on my toes. I was caught off guard.
Yeah.
No, it's really funny. Before I even started trying the front flip, Scott and Metz actually tried a front flip into that same foam pit where I was doing the backflip.
Yeah, at your birthday party.
Yeah, my birthday party.
Your little birthday.
That's what it was like. Rent out the skate park for your birthday party. It didn't say like private event.
Your birthday then.
No, it wasn't actually my birthday. It was like a private event, but they didn't call it a private event. They just said birthday party.
Right.
Like, all right, I'll just rent it out for a party.
Well, that makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
Was that an expensive ordeal?
No, it wasn't bad. Because we all split it, so I think it ended up being like $20-$30 each. I think for like it was like a couple hours, it was maybe like 200, maybe 250.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all.
So how close were they when they were trying into the foam pit?
So I'm pretty sure Scott. Well, they were doing because we all talked about like there's no way to keep your feet on, so they were doing like a tuck and then like grabbing the tube.
Oh yeah, trying to like make sure that the feet wouldn't come off.
So Scott was doing it on the moto stick.
Yeah.
I think there's like one or two
video of that.
I think there's one video of him doing that floating around, and Metz was doing it on his custom fly bar
Pogo crew or something.
Might
like
be in there.
Old Whitman Pogo crew video or something like that.
I gotta try and find that one. I've been searching like just hours and hours through old footage. But Metz had a custom fly bar, like a 600. He took a master frame and then bolted thrusters around it, took out the spring, and then put the spring on the bottom. So that's also in a video for like one or 2 seconds. But he was trying it on that, and he was kind of like getting around to his butt. Scott like got around to the tip, like we put a big chunk of foam in the foam pit. Scott got around to the tip a couple of times, and he's like best to describe, like kind of like Mina, how Mina can just throw front flips on the GG like nothing now.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't make sense. That's how Scott was. He could just throw front flips. He was so good at front flips.
Well, that's also just like small side tangent from that. Like I remember you were mentioning in the video with the backflip, like just like talking about like, oh, you know, like someone mentions like, oh, someone should do a backflip on a pogo stick or something. And and just kind of responding with like, no, it's not possible. Or no, it was in an interview with one of I can't remember what it was with either Earl or with Biff about something. And I remember thinking when I first did the front flip that I was like, no one's ever going to do this regularly.
I think that might have been with Earl and double backflips.
Yeah, that's right. But then again, like people like, you know, like I can front flip on a moto stick, like a stock moto stick, and like a GG I've done before. I wouldn't say I could just probably throw it any time. I don't think that's really me these days, but like that blows my mind because someone actually could have landed the world's first front flip or backflip technically on a GG if they really freaking wanted to.
There's a video, I think I was calling it the Future of Pogo video, and I was trying full backflips on a GG. I was just kind of doing dismounts, kind of like similar to what I put in the one video. It was like
pulling out to the side,
holding it out to the side. And there's like one where like I kind of flipped around with it. So I was originally trying it on the GG, and then I sucked it up, and then
crazy.
Like, all right, got to do it on the 1200.
Yeah.
But no, I was trying to get Scott to land the front flip. I was like, you have to do it. You're so close. But every time we tried it in the backyard, he never got around.
Well, I guess like at the time, like front flipping a flybar 1200 is not an easy thing. Like I've done it. Like I think
there's only been like 2 or 3 people that have.
They're like so massive, and like actually, I can see why you would be trying to like hold the tube in to try to front flip on the 1200 because it's just so heavy. Like, how do you bring that around with you? Yeah.
So then, like when he wouldn't do it, that's when the 800 came out. That's when I started trying on the 800.
Right.
If you go back to Pogopalooza 4 video, I was trying front flips in the sand at Pogopalooza 4.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I do remember seeing that too there.
And I got around like to the tip of my butt a couple times.
That would have been the same. That would have been the same year. That would have been the same year that I landed it, because I landed it in the fall of the same year that the Pogo 4 video came out.
I think that was the first video of me trying front flips, but I was trying them a little bit before that and then a little bit after that. And then Nick came to my house. I don't know what he was doing. He was in Ohio for something. Maybe like a Pogo Dude show. And we were trying them in my backyard.
Was the Pogo Dudes a thing back then?
Yeah, I think so.
You guys have been around for a while.
I was like, I think that's the year it came out. Like 2007, 2008.
All right.
It was right after I graduated high school. We kind of like formed the Pogo Dudes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to touch.
No, it's all right. No, this is completely fine. Yeah, there's a video of just like Nick filming me in the backyard, and I was like doing the front flip, trying a front flip. I was doing like the dismount thing. You front flip, you take your feet off and just land with the stick in front of you. Like, oh, I'm so close.
Yeah.
And I think that was before Pogopalooza. And then there's those other clips that fall in there somewhere in the timeline. Yeah. It all blurs together. Hours and hours of jumping, where I got like the tip down, one bounce, and it's like, oh, okay, I got this. I just had like
possible, like at that point it's possible.
It's like I just got to dedicate one day and only do that for one day. And I was like, I wasn't in a rush because no one else was trying it.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to save it, be like, oh, let's get some friends over, let's get hyped up, and like, I didn't want to do it just by myself in my backyard.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was like
downfall.
A strength that I had was that there wasn't anyone who wanted to jump with me, at least over where I was. And by the time that some people, like, because there's been like a couple small videos that I've released where like I've had some friends who like jumped a little bit. But by the time that kind of started happening, like I was really getting very good at pogo sticking. And I don't think it was very fun to pogo with me. Just because everyone else would be learning bar spins and stuff, but I was just doing different tricks. So it probably felt pretty inaccessible to a lot of my friends, like there's a big barrier in between that.
Scott and Matt, like Matt was always just hanging out and learning tricks. And then Scott was actually like really, really good, but he never got the credit I think he deserved.
Dude, Scott was crazy.
Yeah, Scott was really, really good.
I remember when I met Matt at like Pogopalooza 5. And I remember we were watching.
He road tripped with me out there. I forgot.
We watched a few like old videos, and I remember we watched Sweetness of Amazingness. And I always thought that Sweetness of Amazingness was just you.
No, Scott's in there. Scott has a bunch of clips in there.
There's a bunch of clips in there. Mostly the clips that aren't the flips, if I think I understand correctly.
A lot of one of the Supermans is him. A lot of the sync stuff is him. What's really like, I didn't think about it, but we all wore exactly the same thing. We always all wore flat bar shirts, blue jeans.
Yeah.
So it's like, I
But
just
and also like
figured
I'm
people
over
could
here
tell
with
us.
like this is like, you know, this is like the mid 2000 to 2010.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, you know, grainy, crappy videos and bad internet connection on my end. So of course I can't tell the difference between who's on the video. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah.
No, he yeah, and I kind of feel bad about that. Yeah, he did a lot, like 180 reps, like 180 reps, switch 180 reps.
Yeah,
He was like the first one to
couple,
do doing those.
yeah.
Um, a couple
Yeah,
other things
either
like
way.
Supermans, like the
Either
actual like the big extended Supermans.
yeah.
He was the first one. Like he taught me how to do those.
Like the
So he's
horizontal
mm-hmm.
yeah. That video was huge.
I was
That
like,
video probably for me one of the more like influential videos.
I mean, I still look at it and it's like it's a decent video today. Like if a new person put that
I'd
video,
say,
it's like, oh, that person's pretty good. They're learning a lot.
yeah, that person's got some good skills. Oh, they checked a double backflip dismount. What do you know? Yeah, no, that I remember I was just like super hyped on like the scissor kick.
Oh, the scissor
Like
kick.
of all the pogo stick tricks that I have, you know, invented or innovated, I'm like jealous of that one, man. That's like the coolest pogo trick out there.
Scissor kick. That took me so long. So we were at some event in I think like North Dakota. If you look at the video, it's completely just like
Okay.
flat. There's nothing around. We're in the middle of nowhere.
Nothing exciting over there.
So we were doing they opened up a huge sporting goods store. So we were just doing a demo inside the sporting goods store. And then when the demo was done, like it was Scott was there, Joe Verzel,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was me. So we were just like fooling around all day. And I was like, I had this idea. I'm like, I was doing like underleg bar spin, switch underleg bar spin. I'm like, I think you can totally do it in the same air.
Mm.
I'm like, no. I like that's crazy. So then after the event was over, everyone, like all of Flybar, went to dinner. God and I stayed in the parking lot. I'm like, I'm landing this. Like, I'm not eating until I land this. So it was probably out there.
Clean. Was that the first one you landed?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty clean. Pretty clean. Although honestly, like in my experience, because like, you know, obviously I've done like also the double same leg is also another one of yours. This is very insane. Pretty much like all of those kinds of tricks, you almost kind of like land them perfect or they just don't happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially like at that time, because you were jumping on like an 800 that wasn't going very high.
Yeah, it was all technique.
If you were going to land it, you'd have to land it well.
And the double was on the 1200, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. Like, I would be afraid to
that
do a
was
normal
hard. That's
underleg bar spin
hardcore,
on
man.
that.
Yeah. It took quite a while, but actually, like at this point, like the double same leg has kind of become a little bit like quintessential.
Yeah, it's like
Almost like a pretty basic. I wouldn't want to say basic, but it's like
It's there,
almost
yeah.
like a pretty like you know, if you're like a serious rider, you should probably maybe know how to do that trick.
I was hanging on to that one for a while. I'm like, I landed that, and only a handful of people have done it. Like Mahoney, that doesn't count. Mahoney's done like everything, and like one
Yeah.
other person.
Well, you know what? I mean, like, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think that one of my favorite personal accomplishments was that I like landed, I don't know how to call it, the triple or like the one and a, the you know, like the one and a half scissor kick or whatever you'd call
1, 2, 3, triple underleg.
The triple underleg. I landed that trick and it actually, I think, took a whole decade. It took a whole damn decade for someone else to land it.
I was looking at random
Nick
videos
Patino.
of you in front of your house trying it. Like, when was it? Around Pogopalooza 5-ish. Pogopalooza. So at Pogopalooza 5, that was actually going to be my best trick.
Yeah.
Triple scissor, yeah, triple underleg. But
Pogopalooza 5 best trick. Oh my gosh, man. I'm sorry. That kind of blows my mind because I did an underleg bar spin to late tuck reverse in the same air. And the trick that beat me
the stick flip. Let's
But
rerun that competition.
All praise be to Nick McClintock. I think that relative to that time, the stick flip kind of like needed to be a trick that came out on the big air stick. So it was kind of like imprinted in our brains that when the stick flip happened, it would be like So like Mina did it on the master, and then I like pretended to have kind of done it in that video also, but didn't really actually land it that well. But like, and then Nick throwing it out at Pogopalooza on the Vertigo was insane.
Underhand grip, throw it around.
Yeah, just chucking it, just really chucking it.
No technique. Just
Insane.
throw it and pray.
Getting like shot up in the chest with the handlebars like a bunch of times in a row too. Just like throwing his feet on.
Got to do it sometimes.
No.
Yeah, that was going to be but I didn't jump at Pogopalooza 5 because it was Vertigo Palooza.
It was Vertigo Palooza, but like that's because that like honestly like we wouldn't have had one at all if
everything kind of that year was just a weird year. Everything fell through. But
like there were two different groups of people who were trying to organize it at different times, one after another, and it just like fell through both times. And then like I guess like Brian Spencer was just like,
we're doing this event at Knoxbury Farm. Let's call it Pogopalooza.
In classic Brian style, he just like convinced a bunch of people that this was a good idea, and then it happened. I'm like, yeah.
And that was that whole like that week leading up to Pogopalooza was a lot of fun. So it's just like, oh yeah, I'm not jumping at an event that's all branded Vertigo when I'm jumping on a flybar.
This was like the age of competition between flybar and Vertigo. If you really want to like, and you were the flybar poster child.
So. I was.
So if you did compete and I kicked your ass, then it wouldn't have been very good. I'm just kidding.
I don't know if you've ever beat me in competition, Mahoney.
I don't know. I
like best trick and high jump. Yes. See, like, freestyle run? I don't know.
Daniel Mahoney, had never actually won Big Air. You won at Vertigo Palooza, but
you just go too big. That's the problem.
It was like there was like 4 people there who were like good jumpers.
And you beat I remember you beat my high jump record there.
Did I? I mean, I probably did.
Well, I was a little sketchy because it was like they said you broke it and they measured it and you were like a half an inch lower, and then they remeasured it and then you're a half an inch higher.
Well, either way, man, truth be told, I mean, like I did beat you in high jump a bunch of years consecutively after
that. Yeah.
So you don't have to be tense about it. It's all right.
That was the last of my prime of high jump.
Yeah, I feel that because like that was at Pogopalooza, because I broke the record every single year after that. Pogopalooza 6, Pogopalooza 7, and then I think at Pogopalooza 8 I couldn't do it, and then at Pogopalooza 9 I couldn't do it again.
It was stuck. It was stuck like right at 9.
Yeah, it was stuck 9.5 feet. Yeah,
for quite a while.
And then at Pogopalooza 10, like I just got so trashed and because we did high jump last, like I got so trashed in best run and I got so trashed in best trick that I was just like, no one's gonna do it this year.
And Mob and Biff.
Then Biff came in and just like smashed it.
That was big old Biff.
Yep. So for that, and then after Pogopalooza 10, which was the last one I think that we numbered, I actually only competed in one other competition, and that's when I had my injury, and then I retired, and I haven't competed since.
That was a crazy year.
I've always dreamed about coming back and trying to take gold in best run, but I don't know, man. I don't think I could do it. I feel like maybe if I went out and I just did a whole bunch of those weird, zany Dan Mahoney tricks that no one else does, like no one else does or can do, they're just weird, that I would get like variety score, and like they wouldn't know how to judge me on difficulty. So because no one else does them, give me like a really high difficulty score and just like use the park in all kinds of weird ways. Maybe I could pull it out.
I think you have to jump on a large. It's the only way to be fair.
Yeah, no, man, that definitely like might play a role. I think because I'm so lanky and I ride a small pogo stick. See, that's actually part of my thinking, is that I ride smaller. The smaller handlebar like is down lower, so it's right underneath my legs anyway.
Yeah, so. I mean, you can definitely tell that you have a little more room to maneuver just because you have those longer arms to throw everything all over the place.
I wonder if there's like an ideal, because you know how like with most sports, after a certain amount of time, you kind of start to see like a certain body type
Mm-hmm.
starts to fit, like to really reach like a certain point, a certain body type really kind of starts to play into that. I wonder like what is most ideal
I
for
don't
pogo
know
sticking.
because such a wide variety. Because I was talking to I think Dimitri about this. Like Henry, you look at Henry, especially when he first started jumping,
Mm,
he was so lanky and skinny, but he
yeah,
jumped 10 feet in the air, and
yeah.
it didn't make any sense. Like my head still doesn't comprehend it. Like
Seems
he's
like
so
he was just
small.
like pushing down so hard, and because he didn't weigh so much, and because he was able to get it compressed, there wasn't as much resistance when it
Hmm.
was like decompressing or something.
Yeah, it's like light versus leg strength,
Yeah,
and I don't know. It just amazes me. It's like he's so like he just floats. Like that whole like yeah, Henry, a couple other guys.
yeah,
Paco's kind of the same way. He kind of just
yeah.
floats.
Nick is crazy.
And
Honestly,
then you look at Biff when he did the high jump record. He was like 210 pounds,
mm,
jumping on like 130 psi. That's
yeah,
the exact opposite.
yeah. I feel like I wouldn't be able to come anywhere close to doing the high jump record now.
Yeah,
I don't think I have it in my heart to jump that high.
it's really high. I've done 10 feet like a handful of times, and it's like takes a
Mm,
lot.
I feel like maybe I should just clear 10 feet though, because
Yeah, I mean that will be easy for you.
like I've done like 9.5. And I haven't, I like
Is it?
legitimately haven't tried to do high. I haven't even tried jumping over a high jump bar other than like a 6 foot and 7 foot bar
Mm-hmm.
at like,
And this tall of a bar.
yeah, at like pogo shows. I haven't tried since Pogopalooza 10, which
That's
was like
crazy.
2011 or 2012
That's
or something.
crazy.
Yeah. Like, I haven't even really tried. Hmm. Maybe,
I think getting Dan over 10 feet is a good video goal.
yeah, probably. I feel like perhaps maybe if I just like on this whole tangent about like returning to competition, which I've like alluded at a few times in my life, and I've always like there was actually one time like it was post it was when we when Dalton Smith and I did that video in Texas originally. I was like kind of like it was after I took a year off and I was just starting to pogo again, and then I was doing more and more shows, and I was starting to feel like wow, I'm actually feeling like I might even be potentially like at the top of my game
Mm-hmm.
performance wise. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'm gonna go to like the Cary Furnace Pogopalooza and compete. And then like a month before I tore like my ACL and my
Oh,
patellar ligaments, and I was like, yeah, well, okay. I guess
what'd
not.
you tear those doing?
I was doing, man, honestly, it's just a dumb thing. Totally dumb. It was in Winnipeg, uh, up in Canada, doing a fair, and there was just the high jump bar, and I was doing a no-handed peg grab tweak, and the pogo came out from between my knees, like when I had it locked, and I felt like I kind of did like a suicide no-hander esque like catch with my toes, and I'm just like, yeah, I can pull this back in. So I tried to like pull it back in, and then like somehow my feet slipped off, and the tip hit the ground, and then my leg landed sideways on the joint, and it
Mm.
like bowed out to the side. I like sometimes you fall and it like just like it hurts, but you're like, yeah, I fall a lot, and like that's kind of normal. Like this time when I fell, like I knew right away. I was like, that's not good. Like
Yeah.
that one didn't feel normal.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, that and then I went to Pogopalooza that year. I came and I was a spectator. I just like hung out and made tea in the stands and pumped up the other athletes.
That Cary Furnace one?
Yeah.
That's a blur.
But then like I haven't been to a lot of other Pogopaloozas since my injury in France. otherwise. It's not been for any reason like me not wanting to connect with the culture or anything like that.
Just bad timing.
It's never been anything like that. Yeah, just kind of the way that I've lived my life in general, like my lifestyle has kind of been one where I've taken opportunities to make money, here and there. And then I like use that money to go and have crazy experiences like traveling or something. But I usually like, and I don't regret it. Like I don't have regrets about that because I have like a big pile of experiences that I'm really happy about. But generally like Pogapalooza time would roll around and I'd kind of be like, I can't really see how I'm going to make it fly to get down there. Or I was just like in Australia
That's a big trip
or something like that. And so in the end, like I'd like to start going to Pogapalooza, even if just to watch. I've always wanted to be a judge.
You'll do it once and be like, I don't ever want to be a judge again.
Yeah, everyone will hate me probably.
It's so nerve-wracking. No, because you literally have to judge everyone and you're judging all your friends and it's like, and it's hard not to put bias in. It's like, oh, that trick's hard for that person.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that was a really good run for that person. You get like so hyped for them. You want to give them like a better score, but it's like, oh, but their run is
like consistent across the board.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's true.
It's definitely gotten better. I've griped a lot about judging at Pogapalooza over the years. I've had my fair share of gripes and gripes and gripes.
Well, jumpers like to complain as well.
So, but no, it's just it's definitely gotten better over the years. We've kind of slowly figured out a system that works. I think it's been pretty accurate the last couple of years.
That's
but
good.
From like Pogapalooza 6 on 6, 7, 8, and 9, I think it was kind of rules.
At those times, like it was kind of just like, hey, I think that guy should win.
Yeah.
I mean, like especially like I guess like even disciplines like I would imagine that even now there's not a very good way to judge best trick. That is like so subjective. Because like honestly, best trick is just like mostly people trying tricks that have never been done. And most of the people judging have never even considered trying any of them either. So like they have no idea what's going on.
The Winter X Games that just happened, they completely got rid of scoring for a lot of the events. And it was just all personal impression. It's like you just got placed. Yeah. There was no scores. Like, oh, that run felt like it was a third place run. You're in third place now.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that's really what judging is. It's just like your personal preference on what that person did.
I mean, it kind of makes sense too. And that kind of goes in line with what you're saying about it kind of being very subjective based on the jumpers too, in a way. Like what you'd expect from someone.
I like, I think Nitro Circus, the Nitro games did it pretty well. Where like Moto X, you had like 5 jumps and you submit your 5 jumps in before, and then they are scored like, oh, that trick, like a group of people, like that trick is like a 7 out of 10. And then that's just locked in, kind of like gymnastics. Like each skill in gymnastics has a base skill, and then you're only judged on execution.
Okay.
So you do your trick, and it's like, oh, he landed that clean. That was an awesome landing, 9 out of 10 landing. So then they have like some formula where it takes the difficulty of the trick that was already predetermined, how you landed it, execution, and then you get your score.
Yeah, man. Actually, like if I was to go back to Pogapalooza, I would guaranteed probably compete in best trick. Like that's
I already see you thinking of something. What trick?
I mean, like, did you see the re-edit of those 2 videos with Dalton and I?
I didn't know there's a re-edit. I was looking for them a couple of months ago and I couldn't find them.
Yeah, it's out. It's called Danni and Dolli Deluxe. And it's our Danni and Dolli in the jungle with a ton of extra footage in there as well. And the tea in Texas, a cup of tea in Texas as the beginning video.
I didn't know. Yeah, I was looking for them a couple of months ago, but that makes sense in the deluxe version.
There's like right in the middle between the 2 videos, there's a clip, and I do a double scissor kick. I don't put my feet on. I don't really come very close to putting my feet on, but I get it. But I put it under 1, 2, 3, 4, And I've been thinking that I would do like a double scissor kick for a long time.
Ooh.
I was like hopeful. I was hopeful that maybe I would land a double scissor kick before anyone landed the triple O's.
No, too late.
That was my dream, but you know, I don't know. I've got like there's also a few other tricks. Like I
could
could
do a underleg bar spin, tuck reverse.
Yeah, or like an underleg bar spin to like double saran wrap would be something I would think about. Or like I know for a fact that I can land a triple same leg pretty easy, probably.
Paco's getting close to that.
Yeah, like I was trying it in the parking lot in that same video that we were editing, and I just like was so focused on getting double same leg to switch elves that like when I landed that, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, that's insane. I know way back when Scott and I used to play on a trampoline, just like with a football, and just like pass under the legs back and forth. Mm-hmm. I think back then that's how we got, both of us got really good at underleg bar spins and like 180 wraps, because we would just do stupid like scissor kick. We do triples, double under the same leg.
Yeah.
Outside the leg. So we'd only do that just as like, I don't know, we just would just fool around on the trampoline, and that was like the one game we always played. And I think that really passed over to learning to pass the pogo underneath fast.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, no, I just like hands down scissor kick has always been my favorite trick to do. And so that's why like the double same leg and the triple and everything has kind of always been a little bit like intuitive to me, because I'll do scissor kicks for fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my favorite trick.
I don't think about them anymore. And done. Other trick is the what the hell wrap around under leg. That was the one that was the other one I'm holding on to, because like you did it and then no one else did it, and then Russ finally just does them out of nowhere, and then.
Yeah, no, that trick is really, really cool. I don't really like doing it. Like it doesn't feel very fun, but it's like
really like how it flows. Everyone else is like
the coolest tricks out there.
I was like, it doesn't flow right. It doesn't flow right. It's like, no, it flows perfectly. I think because it was originally done on the 800, just the way the 800 spins is different than the Vertigo.
Yeah. I the way that I do it is not the same as other people, I don't think. Like I kick the pogo stick. Like I do a wrap around, and then I actually kick down with my right foot, and I kick the tube, and it straightens it, and then I pass it under. I
have to go watch this video of you doing.
Yeah,
I never realized that.
There's one on my Instagram from back in the day.
Russ just did the wrap around 180 wrap. He's like, that's way easier than what the hell, because I love 180 wraps. I 180 wrap for days.
Dude, he's crazy with those. Like the 180 wrap scissors, he does pretty easily.
Anything 180 wrap. Just,
yeah.
Like I'm gonna do a trick and add a 180 wrap on it.
Okay. Double same leg 180 wrap's pretty wild too.
All of that.
Yeah.
My reflexes are too slow right now.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, like that's always been my favorite thing about pogo sticking, honestly, is like making up new tricks.
There's different like phases. There's like, let's add a bar spin to this. Let's add a pay grab to this trick. And it was just like a whole phase, like all these tricks. You just add an extra bar spin. All these tricks, you just add a pay grab at the end, and it just slowly starts building up from there.
Yeah, we can do an underleg bar spin first, maybe. Yeah.
Underleg bar spin pay grab is way easier than pay grab alps, I think.
Yeah, well, I think you're right.
Yeah, but well, yeah, those are like the whole little theme, and now it's just like it's 180 wraps and underleg onto everything.
I think there's like a trick that I've like. See, that's the thing, man. Like, I don't like. I almost like do a new trick to me every single time I jump, even still, like to this day. Like, I remember like when we were in Japan, I did like 10 new tricks. Like for me, I don't know if they were like new tricks altogether, but they were like completely brand new to me. And I've completely lost count. And I have no list, but there's also some that I really, really want to like get on tape. Like there was one like at Biff's house right after Pogopalooza 7. peg grab, late ulbs to switch peg grab.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a fun one.
Yeah. I don't know like why. And then for some reason, like since I already landed it, it's just kind of was like boring or something every time I had like a camera around. So I didn't want to try it.
It's kind of like it's a monkey grab with underleg bar spin in the middle.
I mean, yeah. But probably hands down, I think that my favorite trick that I have probably contributed would be the rising sun.
What trick is that?
The Mandy.
That was a good one. That was another one that just kind of came out of nowhere, and you just went huge.
That was inspired by Kurt, actually.
It's just like an upside down aerial.
An upside down aerial, actually. Yeah, 100%. I remember seeing him do the aerial, and I was like, what if the pogo stick did a front flip over you?
Totally makes sense.
Kind of like remorseful of that pogo stick, like that trick having that name. But
Can you laugh at it now?
yeah,
Okay, that's good.
like
Then
it
it's
doesn't
okay.
bother me. Like I don't care. I don't care. Like it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Kind of a cute little piece of pogo lore.
I mean, that name makes sense because if you look in gymnastics, they have like the Brandy, Randy, like
Yeah,
they have all their
yeah.
front flip twists like named like that. So it's like, oh, it makes
Yeah.
sense that it falls in that line. So like even outside of pogo, it's like, oh, it's named like the gymnastic names.
Yeah, and it like kind of rolls off the tongue. It's very easy to like say when you're talking about tricks. It's not like a hell the what.
Yeah, I know
Like,
that's just confusing.
yeah.
You know that the you know why the what the hell's called the what the hell?
Um. Well, I can imagine that it's probably called that because it's actually like what the hell.
The first time I did it, I was hanging out with McClintock. I was like, I'm working on this new trick, like film it. And I go for it, and his initial reaction was, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "That's what it's called."
What the hell?
Yeah, like he was just like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna be called that." That's where that name kind of came from.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, pogo names. Were
Yeah.
you on the message board when we had pogo name debates all the time, like trick name debates? Or was that
Maybe.
before? Oh man,
I
went on.
remember that like I remember when I first did the Bry flip,
Mm-hmm.
I called it the Canuck flip.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was really mad about that.
It was probably around that time. It's to the point where everyone was going out and just naming things. Like it just didn't make sense. So like,
Was it like
oh, this is the
Pogo
squirrel
spot,
raptor.
the Pogo spot names?
Yeah, so it was some of the pogo spot. I think everyone was a little bit guilty of it, but it was just like
Mhm.
it doesn't make any sense. Like that trick is obviously inspired by this trick from BMX. That's obviously inspired by that. It should have like a similar name. I
Yeah.
remember going like a complete, like playing devil's advocate, going the complete other way. It's like, no, these tricks need to be named after
After-
other sports. It
Oh
was
yeah.
like the wraparound. I was like, so there's one trick I'm working on. The pogo stick wraps around you. It kind of looks like a pommel horse in gymnastics. So I'm going to call it the pommel.
The pommel. I mean, wraparound is very literal, at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's kind of a thing that I actually have some feelings about that too. Like, you know, being someone who like plays around with like making up tricks a lot, most of the stuff that I would land, I would just be like, just call it a can to late wrap around or to
exactly.
can to late leg wrap. That is not like you know, like it's not like a brand new name. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a trick that when it's a trick that just kind of doesn't make sense
Like a
or is
variation.
really, really wild, like
Mm.
you know, like the actual Canuck flip is like you could call that like a stick flip into a reverse stick flip to regular, but it's
Yeah,
like
something like that totally makes sense to have its own name.
and like the squeegee flip that Mina did. Like I don't know, squeegee. That's a cool name. It's like I don't want to call that like a stick flip, a Bry flip from.
Reversed, normal.
No, it's not. It's like a Bry flip from. What do you call that when you?
It would just be, I guess it would be like reverse
Not
reach
reverse.
around,
When you have
like a
you
reach
have your
around.
really there's a name for that.
I don't,
Sides.
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
we
you know,
just
I was big on just like call variations, like 180
mm,
underleg bar spin and 360 underleg bar spin. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be, oh, that's the Albs. Oh, that's the McTwisty McTwist.
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was trolling everyone with like these stupid names, like the other direction, like way too literal. But I think we've kind of balanced out.
It seems like it. I mean, like at the end of the day, we're just like playing on pogo sticks.
Hmm.
Oh, it's
I
all
mean,
fun.
even like BMXers do it now, like especially like a Nitro Circus, like R Willie. Just like,
Oh
oh,
yeah,
the silly Willie. But then it's like, oh, what's the silly Willie? Oh, it's a backflip or the scooter that like does a front flip.
yeah. Or like, isn't there like a name like that for just like a? Isn't that maybe the silly willy? Isn't that actually just like a double front flip 720? Yeah,
It's so
like
confusing. I thought
yeah,
I
or
thought the silly
something.
Willie was the one who he did the backflip. Well, he did the backflip and the scooter did the front flip.
Yeah, well, we can definitely agree that we're on the same page. It's like going out and landing like a 540 backflip or like a backflip 720 on a pogo stick. You wouldn't call that. You wouldn't call that like another new trick.
I'm just picturing a long list of just like random names. Like, hey guys, I landed all these tricks. Everyone's like, what is it? It says what it is. I
Yeah.
I did the McTwist and the Squirrel Hunter and but what is it? It's written down. Obviously, it's all in the name.
Yeah, I do enjoy a little bit of like where it's like kind of concise and easy to understand. But yeah. I've been thinking about like trying to pogo a little bit more recently.
Hmm.
I I have like if I'm being completely honest, I haven't jumped since I was in Saudi Arabia last year. Actually, like I did jump a little bit with Duncan.
Hmm.
Duncan came and visited me here because he's not very far. He's out in like
Yes.
New Brunswick. This was like when we had our Atlantic bubble COVID thing. We had like really low case numbers all across the board. So
Yeah, it's this last, I'd say, year and a half has been the least I've pogoed in my whole life.
yeah, I feel that. Pogo's hard, man. Like also we just got I don't want to be it could be metric. We got like 40 centimeters of snow last night.
That's probably the same snowstorm they got here because you're
Like
just a little bit north of
yeah,
here. Yeah, because
yeah,
it's so much snow outside right now.
like 6, 7, 8, 9 inches or something like that.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, like huge.
Yeah, we got a bunch of snow the
I'm
last
definitely not
last
going up to
week.
jump right now.
It was like almost up to it's like up to my shins and up to my knee in a couple places in my yard.
That's fantastic.
Horrible. My pogo park is covered.
Yeah, not really ideal for jumping.
No, definitely not. I did the worst thing. I painted the pogo park right before winter. It's like, oh, it looks nice and clean, and then when I actually get to jump on it, it's going to be all beat up and snowy and rotted.
Yeah.
Whoops. Hopefully,
No,
the paint will keep it alive through the winter.
I remember doing like a little tour with you and Jake Gartland, and we drove to visit. We stopped off at like your parents' place in the house that you grew up in or something,
Hmm.
and you had your pogo park in the back that I recognized from all those videos when I was like 12 years old. And
Yeah,
it was pretty destroyed, but I was like insanely stoked to see that park.
yeah. There's been a couple variations of that. It started
Never.
with I had a pogo roo. My pogo park. I had this box that used to be a wall. It was my taekwondo class moved to a new studio, so they tore down a wall. But one of those walls was just like I don't know, it was like a weird metal box.
Mm.
So I I took a wagon there because I was only like 11 maybe. I took a wagon,
This,
put this wall on this wagon and walked this wagon all the way back home, which was probably like I wasn't too far, like a mile or so.
Oh man,
And
that's funny.
that was my
Yeah,
first little
no,
pogo park.
I never really did a lot of park jumping growing up. I more than anything, I just kind of like threw plywood down in my backyard and just jumped straight up and down.
Hmm.
I don't. We didn't have a lot of very good street spots here either. Like, I mean, in hindsight now, there's a few spots that I feel like I could go to with, like the kind of jumping abilities that I've developed over time now and actually do some pretty cool stuff there. But when I was like first starting, it didn't really, it was kind of,
Not
it was just
possible.
kind of beyond what we were really thinking or doing. And so I'm pretty sure that that's like a big contributing factor to why I always jump the way that I jump. Like, hands down, I definitely, even to this day, prefer just like old school big air, just
Hmm.
straight up and down
The
as you
yeah,
can.
growing up before I had the pogo park, I literally had a mattress, and then it was this sheet of metal. It was just like 4 feet by 10 feet,
Mm.
and then on top of that, I put a 4 by 4 piece of plywood, and that's all I jumped on. I think that's why, like, my control and my accuracy was always pretty well, like
Yeah,
pretty good, because I always had to aim on that 4 by 4 sheet of plywood. If I missed, I was sinking in the ground.
yeah. You know what? Like, I kind of feel like I can relate to that. Like, but you know, definitely like your jumping was always much cleaner. Yeah, no, I was like, I think that I never really until like much later in my whole pogo story ever really prioritized cleanliness in my style over
Okay.
progression. Yeah, I just wanted to land the tricks.
Hmm.
Like, I was like, all right, you landed the trick, time to do the next one. Go, go, go. I didn't really care that I was like throwing my hand off and like flailing all over the
I
place.
did.
You did. You cared a
It
lot.
hurt me. It hurt my eyes.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Going back, I should say that like my proudest contribution to the sport is knowing that the one-hander is named after me.
I was going to ask, are you more proud of you beat me to my question. More proud of landing the first front flip or being known for the Mahoney? You beat me to it. That was my question for later on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I guess like I'm definitely like the first front flip was definitely like the thing that really I think really kind of solidified for me in in my own head that like yeah, like I'm good at pogo sticking and that I have like a potential to do something on a pogo stick.
Hmm.
But I think there's kind of like some real fun to like just that whole story. Just the fact that there was like a divide in the community about whether or not that was like a thing that we liked.
Hmm.
Well, like you didn't like it because you were so damn good at jumping that you never
You
take your hand off. You always have both hands on, just bouncing so straight. And I would just like
you've
throw.
you've left your mark on the pogo world for sure because everyone does it now.
Yeah, that it does give me a warm feeling.
I still don't like it.
But honestly, at this point, you kind of need to do that. It's like when you're jumping on a trampoline and you have to like flail your arms around a little bit
I don't
to
get it. I honestly don't get it.
control.
I've
Well,
never. I've tried a Mahoney and it was a joke and
but
kind of
like
just
what
like
happens when you start jumping really high?
it just doesn't. I don't taking off a hand to balance is the last thing I think about. Like I'll move the stick around. Like
Yeah.
I guess my feet will float a little bit and I'll like move the stick around that way.
Mm,
But I've never in my brain does not compute taking my hand out for the balance.
yeah. Yeah, I guess it just like happened like intuitively to me because like maybe perhaps because your adoption of like big air jumping happened a lot more like progressively over
Hmm.
like a longer period of time where like the pogo sticks were getting better and better and
Calling me
better.
old.
Yeah, man. No, just like because when I started, like when you were started jumping, like big air pogo sticks didn't exist.
Yep.
And like I jumped on like a tiny stick in my backyard for fun without knowing that pogo sticking was a thing for like a little while. But then when I got really serious about pogo sticking, it wasn't very long before I got a Flybar 800.
Mm.
And then I got I had got one of the very first V3s. I got one of the very first aluminum tubes, and that thing actually made like a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like all of a sudden, like I'd only been jumping seriously for like a year and a half, 2 years. And I was jumping like 3 or 4 feet or so. It felt like higher than like a few months before. I just like didn't know what I was doing.
I remember the
You know?
first time I saw V3 in action. It was still like the prototypes with the metal, like the top
Yeah.
wasn't welded in, all bolted in. It was just like a V2, but with a metal tube instead.
Mhm.
First time seeing one of those in action was, I think, at Pogo 4. A few random guys that Brian found.
Yeah, the
Of course.
Pogo. What were they called? The Pogo peeps.
I don't know. It was like, I remember one guy's name was Tice.
Yeah. I remember these guys. Like I remember seeing videos of them. The OC, like the OC Pogo crew,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
yeah,
where they came from. Brian just found them, and they could do backflips. Like no one knew they could do backflips. They just started jumping on these V3s that
yeah.
no one like saw the V3, and then they were just there at Pogopalooza, and these guys started flying incredibly high on it, and they just huck a backflip. It was like, I guess other people can do backflips now.
Mhm.
Because at that time, it was like, I think we were still keeping count on who could do a backflip. So I think it was only like 5 or 6.
Yeah. Dang.
I remember that the V3 was a huge innovation, and then that same year when I was doing high jump, that was when I did the record on the 1200.
Yeah, it was like
7
7
or
seven.
something.
Yeah.
We ran out of high jump space. We had to put the high jump on moto stick boxes.
Yeah.
So it was like I kept doing all the heights, and then got to that last height, and like I fell like 2 or 3 times. So it was like I went over. I was like getting pumped up, ready to go. Brian Spencer, being Brian Spencer, comes over. He's like, "Want to give it a whirl in the V3?"
You're like, no, Brian.
I was like, "No, I'll just put another band on," because I was only doing it on like 9 bands. Like I
you
put
jump
another.
on a Vertigo now, eh?
What was that?
You jump on a Vertigo these days.
Yep. Far from
Yeah.
stock though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, you don't even need to suit up the V4, man. That's what I prefer jumping on that thing. Like, you don't need any better. That thing's hardcore.
I have a V5, small tube, large shaft, flybar tip, riser bars.
You're still doing the flybar tip, eh?
Of course.
Yeah. You know the new like V4 tips are perfectly fine.
Sure, but
I've
I
never
like
had a flip out on them, I don't think.
I just trust my flybar tip for my life.
I still have a stick out there that has a flybar tip.
So great. The other thing that I've noticed I like way more is the Vertigo tip is that round bottom.
Mm.
The flybar tip is completely flat. When I start jumping on a Vertigo tip, like having that roundness, like if you land, you kind of can roll with it.
Yeah. It's good for like street for sure.
Whereas like the flybar tip, no matter where you land, it's pulling you flat.
Mm. Maybe that has a lot to do with your balance technique too.
Maybe. Because I'm always like the control is slightly different as soon as you get a round tip on there compared to the flat. It's like so minute, but if you jump for a living, you notice it, and it's like one of those small things that would just throw me off slightly. Especially like sketchy landings. If you're coming in at an angle, like the Vertigo tip, you kind of have to like roll it back straight. The flybar tip will kind of more pull you straight.
Yeah. I actually still have my first flybar.
Ooh.
I just don't have a top plate or like handle clasps, but I still have some bands in it.
Oh man.
It still jumps. Like I've jumped on it.
That's awesome.
Just like without the handlebars. Man, that was sad. Like that whole like situation, that whole story actually like was really convenient that it played out the way it did. So like I released my 3rd Pogo video, and like I broke some parts, and then I emailed like one of the flybar guys at the time, and they're just like, yeah, you're abusing the warranty. We're canceling your warranty. We're not sending you any more free parts. And I was like, oh, bro, oh no, I'll never be able to Pogo again. Like, I can't afford to like pay $1 per band. Like, that's crazy. And then like a week after that is when Brian messaged me and was like, "This video is awesome. You should ride Vertigos. I'll send you a Vertigo." And that saved my whole life, man. I think that at that moment, if that hadn't happened, I might have had to quit pogo sticking.
I don't know how many people know this. So before any of the big air sticks came out, there was like a video of a Vertigo that was just kind of floating around. And this was like just a prototype. It was the like clear PVC.
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen that one, I think,
so
maybe. Like,
I want to say this had to be like 2000, between 2001 and 2002. Somewhere in there. It all blurs together. So I actually emailed Brian a video of me jumping on a Pogo Roo. It's like, I'd love to get one of those high performance sticks. Could you hook me up? He was like, you know, they're not available yet, but keep jumping.
Yeah.
And I actually made a background for my computer that just said like Vertigo. And like I paneled it on the back of my computer, and that was my background for
was this
probably 2
before
years.
Flybar too?
This
probably?
is way before Flybar, yeah. Like 2 or 3 years before Flybar. Yeah, so it was like I reached out to Brian to get a Vertigo.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Like, oh shoot.
Oh man. The Pogo story.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know that. I wonder if that email still exists somewhere.
That's actually, I mean, I'd never heard that. I think that like there was such an aggressive kind of, I think that from at least like it might just have been like a narrative that was in my head, but I believe like because in a small way, like you were riding so hard as like a representative for Flybar, and then like I started doing a lot of stuff for Vertigo. It felt like there was like a really like strong pitting of you and I against each other.
Not even by us, by everyone else.
Yeah, by like as like brand representatives for these pogo sticks, and that like definitely stimulated a lot of competition, competitive kind of vibes between the two of us, I think.
Definitely.
Which was kind of funny in hindsight, you know.
That's good. One thing that you said is just like how you didn't care, you would just go out and land things. I kind of became the other way. I think because I was doing so much with Flybar, and it became like Flybar Pogo Dudes, it became my job. I think a lot of people have experienced this since, where I just stopped pushing myself a little bit. It was like, oh, like I don't need to learn a new trick today. I don't need to throw down hard today.
Well, if it's your career and you're making money doing it, it does kind of like put a little bit of a damper on that.
And I always remember these conversations I had with Tone. Tone was like, "Hey, can you do this trick?" I'm like, "I can. I could probably land it. I don't want to right now."
Yeah.
It was like always like I could land whatever trick I wanted to land. I just choosing not to, and I think that played a huge factor on just like plateauing for the longest time.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing, is that you have to, you know, if you want to be like doing certain things, or you want to be doing certain types of tricks, you actually do have to make some sacrifices. And that's true, and that's totally true. I don't know, like you and I have talked about like pogoing on our bodies before. I can relate to what you're saying, but I think that one of the biggest issues that I've had is that I'm kind of insane. Like anyone who's like pogoed with me knows that like I just don't stop. I just like try dumb things, like really dumb things. Like I just like put my feet on. And like, do you remember when we were doing Top Gear Live? You remember we were doing Top Gear Live in England or something, and we had to go out and do a show in like 15 minutes. And we were just like out back, and I'm just like trying something ridiculously silly and stupid. And then the pogo like shoots up and hits me in the shin. And like to this day, like is probably one of the largest scars I have on my body. Just like this gash, like this on my shin. And the client was there.
I remember that.
And I just like,
good. I lost my tooth from that.
From that
fall. Yeah. I broke my tooth from the inside out. I cracked it. So it looked fine, but probably about 3-4 months after, I started getting an abscess.
Wait, what are you talking about?
The Top Gear, when I was doing the flips in a row during practice.
Oh, you slipped?
Yeah, I slipped out and smashed my face on the all the burnt
Yeah.
rubber that was on the ground.
Oh yeah, that
So I
I
was doing,
remember.
because I did like
Oh,
backflip, 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 and then instead of doing a dismount, because I didn't want to dismount, I'm like, I don't want to hurt my knees.
hmm.
I just did like 3 flips and then just jumped backwards, and that's when they were just like burning out right there. So it was all just like rubber and oil,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah. I remember. I remember, and also like that wasn't ideal because it was also just like a hockey rink,
yeah, yeah. There's just
and
the, there's that slippery concrete.
that's like one of the worst surfaces, and there's like motor oil everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
that was like during rehearsals. So
yeah,
then like I had 3 stitches in my lip, and then I just did the rest of the shows.
yeah,
And then yeah, you did that.
yeah. I remember I ran up to like we ran up to the medic and they were like, you have to sign this paper. Well, I was like, I gotta go. I have a show to do. And
We just need a band-aid.
they're like, no, you can't go do a show right now. Like this is really bad. Like you like and I was like, we gotta do the show. I can't not do the show. Like I'm gonna be in so much trouble if we don't do the show. Like Fred will kill me, man. And so like I had to sign like a medical release form to say that I was pogoing against their better judgment. I rem- or- so I remember,
I went to the same medics
hmm.
to get my stitches taken out too. I was like, "Can you just like cut these out for me?" What? I'm like, "Just cut them out. They're on my lip. I don't want to cut them out myself."
They're like these pogo guys are not very smart.
That was such a fun gig.
That was a good time.
Being able to being in the cars as they drift around.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Doing like a choreographed pogo show with stunt car
Hmm.
drivers. We
I
still
also,
didn't jump over a moving car though.
I know, I know. Did you hear my story with Biff?
No.
Oh, I have it planned out. It was
To do that,
around
to
to
do
do
that,
it.
yeah. Everyone always talks about that, and I'm like personally just not game whatsoever. I would
Yeah,
never do that.
yeah. I was telling Biff there's a show. I forget the name of it. I think it was Stunt Junkies.
Yeah.
And then I was in contact with them through like Flybar to
Hmm.
set up a stunt, and that was my stunt, was jumping over a moving car.
I
My
guess
pl-
like you have to have like a really good stunt driver who actually
yeah,
knows what they're doing.
I mean, simple. It was just like you have a stunt driver,
Hmm.
there's markings where the car's at, and then you just do it out of a bomb drop. So you have like a tall platform,
Hmm.
then you see the car hit the mark, bomb drop off. So the timing's always the same,
Yeah.
and you can always practice it. Like car drives here, you bomb drop off, fine. Car drives here, fine. And then just like instead of jumping here, you jump here, boom.
Maybe I'm just a softie these days, man.
Yeah. I don't know if I would do it. I have it planned out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe like a
no,
Mini Cooper or
I
something.
definitely love the idea of doing all that crazy stuff. It's also like I honestly see it the same like you probably wouldn't see me jumping street ever again
Hmm.
in my life, I don't think. Some of the biggest bails I've ever taken have been doing street jumping. And I think like I just am at a point right now where it's like I don't know that the payoff, like the pogo glory of
Hmm.
doing like some hardcore street is worth it for me considering what it's likely going to take out of me.
Yeah, that's why I like my pogo parks. I can throw mats everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's what's up.
Like my pogo park's connected to a street. It counts.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of outside and on obstacles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're just designed specifically for what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, street's definitely it's fun. I haven't jumped street in ever.
I love what people are doing. Like I love seeing the progression and just like people going out there and throwing down hard like all that stuff that's been done by like Mile High
Hmm.
has been insane.
I
Like that
think
video ever was is still like one of the most insane collection of street pogo I've
yeah,
ever
they all that whole crew, they just float. That's the whole like floaty crew.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the last time I rode straight was like 2 years ago. I jumped over a fence at a school and then did a front flip and ate shit. Just fell right on my back. Whoops.
I think I just like I always get hurt.
Yeah.
Like I always get hurt whenever I do street these days. Like it's like my for example, like my ankles are at a point now where if I don't land on the foot pegs,
Hurts.
it's pretty bad. And so a lot of the times, like the tricks that I will try these days are ones where I can kind of like bail the trick out halfway through
Mm-hmm.
and just like put my feet on and bounce away. Like I don't do as many of those like wild, like I'm not trying to be like chucking double stick flips or anything like
Right.
that, which is also what?
Insane.
Yeah, that's the next level. Just I don't feel so bad about it, man. I feel like I've contributed a lot to the point where like it's okay if I don't continue to pogo at that level. You know,
Absolutely.
it's all right to just like take it easy.
Absolutely. Why is my computer sound on? There we go. Yeah, no, I totally get that. For the longest time, like from when I was doing shows nonstop, just kind of getting into shows and chucking doubles in every single show, my knees and ankles always would hurt. So like I was always grumpy because like especially like street, I got so grumpy. It's like walking from spot to spot because putting on all my ankle braces and then walking in my ankle braces would just kill my feet, but I needed them while I was jumping. So I was always grumpy.
Definitely. I hear that, man. Like I've I've experienced that for the last like couple of years, especially like it's definitely, it just builds up, and at a certain point, like so for me right now, like I definitely still do jump every once in a while. Like I told you, I haven't jumped since shows in Saudi Arabia, and that's because shows have stopped. I mostly pogo stick whenever I have an opportunity to connect with the community, which is at this point usually through gigs.
Yeah.
You know, because I do live so far away from most riders. Whenever like I get offered to go and do like a show, that's often like an opportunity for me just to like connect with pogo stickers, which is something amazing. But for the most part these days, there's not a whole lot of pogo sticking happening.
Yeah,
Not a lot of, definitely not doing parkour or free running anymore either. You know, I just don't do any of those types of things anymore. Mostly just go for walks outside. I drink my tea and
Boston's not too far away from Halifax, just saying.
that's right. I didn't know you were in Boston, honestly.
I've been here for a couple of years.
Yeah. Maybe last thing I remembered, you always were trying to live out in California. So
I've lived out there for a while. It got really expensive to live out there and never be out there, just traveling all the time.
There's like a consistent like street performing scene in Boston, isn't there?
There is. I mean, it's a little tough now
Of course.
with COVID, and we don't know what the recovery is going to be because a lot of the shops at Faneuil Hall shut down. Like they just closed. So we don't know what it's going to be like when things start to get better and shows open back up. That's a little bit hard.
I guess that's pretty much the scene everywhere too. Like,
except for Florida, because Florida's Florida.
They're just doing their thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're not like, I feel like over here, pretty fortunate. Like, not gonna like really comment on the whole, you know, what's the proper thing to do or the not proper thing to do in light of like COVID-19, but like over here, people have like paid attention and listened to what we were told to do. And so we have less than 10 cases in our whole province. So we have like no restrictions. Like we're allowed to go out. All the businesses are open, stuff like that. So
that's,
I mean, like, I'm just grateful that things are operating at least like slightly normal.
America's taking a different approach.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, whatever. When things calm down, I'm looking forward to being able to reconnecting with all these pogo jumpers, man.
Yeah, it's just doing this the last couple of weeks, just sitting down and talking with everyone. Oh, it's been so nice. It's like the next best thing instead of like jumping with people. Just like actually just sit down and it's like, let's talk about pogo.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's been super, super nice, and definitely helping just mentally, just like, oh yeah. And just it's been definitely also bringing back all this joy and passion that's just been like, whoa.
No, absolutely. You know, it's kind of a weird thing because like pogo sticking, you know, is a very, very like niche and not well known, activity. And it's really easy being at a point in my life where I've had to, like, for my own, for my own well-being, I've had to step outside of jumping the way that I have, because I'm a pretty like all or nothing kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there's not really a halfway point for me when it comes to how hard I go on a pogo stick.
Go.
Like, yeah, like, and so for me, I've had to step outside of it. And it's weird because like when you're in the community, you're around these people and everybody, like, they all really appreciate it. But because it's been so long, sometimes you just kind of like, it completely like lose sight of that part of like my whole story. So it is nice to be able to like talk about pogo sticking with someone who actually like was around the whole time.
Mm-hmm. You just
Actually,
just going through, I wanted to make like a quick little like collection video. Like I'm just gonna go because a couple of people are like, I want to see your pogo collection, just all the parts and everything. So I just started going through. I was like, I'll just make a video about the fly bar. So it'll probably be like 10 minutes. And then as soon as I started talking, it was just like, oh, we're not even off the 1200, and that had like 30 minutes of video. I'm like,
yeah,
I think this is going to be its own video, and it's just
do some,
just looking back on all the memories. It's like, wow.
Well, I'm enjoying the stuff that you're putting together right now. I think it's especially like, I don't know how good this conversation is. I don't know,
I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah, but like either way, like I've enjoyed watching. I watched the videos that you released so far. I think at this point it's only been Earl and Biff video, but I was talking to Dimitri the other day, and he told me that you filmed.
Yeah, I talked with him. Just over the weekend.
Yeah,
I think this one's going to come out before that one though. But like just learning like some of Dimitri's stories, like he learned English because of Pogo.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
He's like, it's been great. He's like, everyone else really struggles with learning English, and they always have like a really, really thick accent. He's like, talking to everyone Pogo really helped them.
It's like a total like immersion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just crazy, like the other aspects that Pogo has done, which we can finish up because it's almost been an hour and a half. A couple of rapid fire questions.
Sure, hit me.
All right.
We've kind of just been like jabbering.
Yeah, I know. It's been good. I like it. That was kind of the whole goal, just kind of free form. We've kind of talked about this briefly, but let's get it down. Hardest trick you've ever done?
Hardest trick I've ever done? I think underleg bar spin late tuck reverse is probably going to be like the hardest trick that I've ever done, because no one else has ever even tried it. I don't really think anyone is going to do it for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does tuck reverses anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's only a couple people I think who could do it, and that'd be like Ryan O'Malley, because he's so darn good at like tuck reverses.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Nick McClintock if he felt like getting hurt a lot for a little while.
Chad is surprisingly really good at tuck reverses.
Yeah, Chad, for sure.
But underleg bar spin a tuck reverse, no way.
Yeah, that's definitely for me like my best trick. We'll get, if I make it to Pogo Palooza someday and I do best trick, I'll just leave it for then.
Okay. I think you should start it off, just land underleg, late tuck reverse again, and then that would probably just win it.
That's not a bad idea. I was kind of messing around with it in a field once, like at a gig like a year or two ago, and I was thinking that if I was to commit to just chucking the tuck reverse, I might be able to do it again.
Yeah, nice.
It's just terrifying.
Yeah, so hardest trick, stupidest trick.
Stupidest trick?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. A lot of those.
It doesn't have to be hard, just like stupid. No. Like, why did I do this?
I don't know if there's like a video of it, but I was trying for a little while to do aerials in a tip stall on a TV. And actually like getting kind of close to it, but also like completely just getting destroyed.
That's great.
So like, I totally stopped, but yeah, like a grounded aerial. So like a round off of like the pogo stick on the, yeah.
That's how I learned all my tricks, on the tip on the ground. Underleg bar spin, 360 bar spin. Everything was like, you leave the tip on the ground and you do your trick and you land back on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this next one might not apply to you. What's the easiest trick that you find hard?
Stick flip. I don't do stick flips, period. I don't do them. People do stick flips in games of Pogo and they wipe me out.
Wow. I would
I
not have guessed that.
I have I would rather do like I do bri flips
Mm-hmm.
and I do them happily and comfortably, but stick flips I hate them. I hate them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then that's surprising.
I just like really I used to do them, but like I never got very good at unlearning how I used to do them like right way down underneath my feet, like
Mm-hmm.
weird like out to the side and down low kind of a technique. I
There's so many different techniques for them.
yeah, I never really got the brand new clean stick flip kind of vibe.
I mean, I just tuck them in a little ball and
Yeah, yeah, pretty much the same thing.
yeah.
I just don't like them, so I don't do them.
And then I think you've already said this, the trick that made you think you made it in Pogo.
Definitely the front flip. That's for sure the front flip. I mean, I don't know. I didn't mention it in this video, but I remember I went out to try it, and I tried it for hours, and then I landed it, and then I came out to my camera, and my camera was like memory card full, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, and I went and I looked at the footage, and it had stopped recording like 15 minutes before I got that landing, and so then I had to like erase everything and put new batteries in my camera,
Mm-hmm.
come back out, and I had to go for like another 2 hours.
Crazy.
And I was like, I remember feeling like I just did the thing that like was the thing that I wanted to do more than anything else, and I'm probably not going to be able to do it again, and no one's ever going to know.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I had
But
that
that's why
happen
I
because I used to
react the
do.
way that I did in that video.
I
Like I'm
used
like, please God, be on film. Yeah.
I used to not do memory cards. I only did mini DV tapes. I was
Mm,
always afraid that cards would fill up. I don't remember when I actually finally switched over to my first like digital camera,
mm,
but I was mini DV tapes for the longest time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it definitely broke my heart for a very large portion of that afternoon.
Good. Yeah. I was second to land the backflip, second to land the front flip.
Darn. Oh man. Well,
I was second to do a double dismount, kind of.
second, really.
There was I don't know if anyone knows this.
Oh, the he moves guy
There was some video of a guy doing it in a gym
from Sweet.
into a foam pit, like onto a mat.
Yeah.
Just some random guy doing it. Like that
Did
video
the guy
came
from
out, and I was
Sweden or
like, I
something?
think so.
Yeah.
That video came out of him doing it into a foam pit. I was like, nope, I got to do it now.
Yeah.
So I went like, I think later that day, I was in Pennsylvania with Nick Ryan. We're doing a Pogo Squad St. Patrick's Day tour or something. So he had access to a gym with a foam pit.
Hmm.
So I went there. I learned how to do double backflips, and after I did 3 of them, I was like, okay, time to do it off the Pogo.
Yeah.
I did a couple into the foam pit, and then went back to his house, um,
Man,
and just chucked it in the backyard.
my first ever attempt at a double backflip dismount is actually kind of like similar. Like I had never done a double backflip before. It was at Pogo Buffet '08. So I learned a double backflip on Mina's trampoline. And I tried my first one just into like a long jump pit into the sand.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I was like, oh crap, I'm just gonna go for it.
Like one speaking on that, it's like I've never been naturally gifted at flipping. I've had to work so hard at flipping. I bought a trampoline after I got my 1200 because I got sick of people saying do a backflip.
Yeah.
That's like when I started trying. That's when I learned dismounts. And then when the
Well,
1200 came out,
because you're very good at flips.
I'm okay at flips. At single flips, you start adding twists and
Mm,
twisting things in there, I get lost.
I hear that.
Yeah, I've always struggled with flips. Yeah, I taught myself how to backflip just to gut people up so I could do dismounts, and
Yeah.
then taught myself how to flip to do flips with the pogo. Yeah,
I
like
was
I
like,
was never naturally gifted at flips.
yeah, you definitely were like one of the first people. You were the first person to like push flips in the sport, like doing flip variations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like peg grab backflip, and like no hand backflip was yours too, I believe, and
No hand. I mean,
stuff
a lot
like
of them.
that.
Pay grab, no hand, bar spin, judo. Almost
Yeah.
got close to a heel clicker.
You want to hear something funny? I think like it's one of like the worst. It's like the silliest thing I've ever done almost in my life in a video. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but it's like I'm pogoing at this park and I do like a no-handed backflip on like the flybar
Hmm.
800, and then like I changed the angle and I land the backflip, but I faked it. I didn't actually do the no-handed backflip in that video. Like, why? Like,
Oh, that's so funny.
I don't know why I did that, but you know, it
Oh,
is
that's
what it
so
is.
funny.
We all know I can do a no-handed backflip now, but
Maybe it's all video editing.
man,
I'm
I've never.
questioning every trick you've ever done now.
I'm actually not a very good pogo sticker. It's just my little brother. I just like film him.
Yeah, no, like growing up, Scott naturally gifted jumping, flipping, and like I always struggled.
He would just do the
He would
tricks.
just do it. Like I know we were trying to do like front flip dismounts one day. His first day like jumping, he came over. He's like, oh, I can do that, and he just did a front flip dismount. That was the first trick he learned.
Dang.
And I was like, and then we were trying to learn like just standing backflips.
Yeah.
Like we're learning them on the trampoline, off the boxes, and then on the ground. And then he just does one perfectly. I'm like, Eric. And then I'm like hucking myself, like I gotta be as good as Scott.
Yeah.
And then I got my first standing backflip like 20 minutes after him, which is like all the pogo stuff. It was just like he was so good at flipping, so good at dismounts. He learned like front flips on the ground, like you just
Yeah.
running front flips, and he would like do flips over me. I was like, I couldn't do any of this, like so bad.
Yeah. I never did things like very well or made them look very pretty. I just like was pretty all right at putting my feet on the foot pegs,
Mm-hmm.
I think. If the Mahoney is not a claim to fame, the Mahoney squat is.
Mahoney
Like,
squat. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but yeah, I remember the Mahoney squat. That's how you land front flips. You Mahoney squat it.
oh yeah, man. For the first like good handful of the ones I did, they were like that. Yeah.
I tried so hard not to. But then I just got sick. I was like, I'm just gonna land it. So then like I was like, then I just squatted it out.
Yes, you're like, I don't want to do it that way, but
Imagine trying to do
I,
that now at like 100 psi.
I think that one of the reasons it kind of played out that way was like in the video where I do the first front flip, I actually broke a band.
Mm.
Broke a band and I didn't have any replacements. So I did that with 7 bands. So I wasn't getting high enough, but like I was like, Fred's gonna beat me to do the front flip. I have no choice. I have to go and go and go. Just like throwing myself down on the freaking
You're yeah,
I
legendary.
was driven for that. I needed it.
Awesome. And we can wrap things up there. Where can everyone find you online?
Well, you can find me a number of different places, but most likely just on Instagram, xpogodan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really post pogo stuff anymore. It's mostly all just pictures of plants and tea, but that's fine. Sometimes I jump. You could also find me, if you were interested in tea, you could find me at wilderleaftea.com.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
that's pretty much my life right now.
Ian Instagram. But do you have a TikTok?
Nope. No.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.